Unkindled Lore Boys here, back at it again. My name is Peter O'Donohue, as often as possible, and directly above me on the webcam is...
we can't see your webcam setup, so we don't know who's directly above you.
I'm above you on my screen.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm left to right. You guys are left to right. Like, I'm on the far right. Yeah. I'm Ethan.
Ethan's far right, yeah.
Below Peter, or two above Peter? I'm not sure. I am fully kindled. I don't know why he would describe me as unkindled, but I'm a co-host on this here podcast.
And my name is James, and I'm the meat of the Lore Boy sandwich.
You are the meat of this Lore Boy sandwich.
I certainly think so.
Although on my screen, this is a Lore Boy's taco, and you are the meat of the Lore Boy's taco.
Okay,
As
well,
long as I'm
fine.
the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like a different kind of sandwich.
Yeah, the taco shell is half soft shell, half hard shell, and I'll let the listeners decide who's hard and who's soft here.
In Mexico, no one fucking uses the hard shell. I don't know where that came from.
America.
Oh, Old El Paso, which I believe is like a Zeller's brand.
Or Taco Bell, invented by like Josh Bell or something like that.
So if you're new here, it's the Lore Boys. It's a lore podcast. You can call it lore. You can call it fake history. You could say that we're actually wasting your time because nothing we say is true. However you want to describe it, as long as you leave a 5-star review, I don't really care. On iTunes, please do that.
Wait, did Master Chief not blow up the Covenant?
Yeah, Master Chief didn't actually explode the Covenant? No, Ethan, that was a lie.
That was a lie this whole time? Oh my god.
We don't have a Halo episode yet, so don't go looking for it.
Wow, Bungie lied to me. Yeah.
The X in Xbox was not for documentary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. That doesn't make sense. But if you want to leave us a review on your platform of choice, that would be great. Also, if you want to contact us, it's loreboyspodcast@gmail.com. Big thank you to our recent listener, Darnell. I guess not so recent anymore, but we appreciate all the messages you've been sending to us, the emails, the Facebook messages. It's usually one of the best parts of my day is when we've got some feedback to go through. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so much lore amendments, too. There's like a 10-parter on his last review.
Yeah.
The man knows his stuff. The man knows his stuff.
If you ever hire a writer because we're too rich and old to do this, you can do it.
Yeah. We definitely do appreciate it because we kind of slap a lot of these scripts together from, various sources. A lot of the time, the Gamepedia file or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't take it as gospel, I guess, and do definitely send us annotations if you have them.
Lore Boys canon, dude. That's our catch-all term. Is where we might be lying about fake shit.
Yeah, we might be making up fake shit for your fake shit.
Yeah,
but we do it as as artistic expression and to ensure that this all remains public domain and fair use.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So we have to sprinkle in a few inaccuracies every episode, otherwise we will get sued by Disney when we talk about Marvel.
Exactly. This episode
if you just read the script for something, someone can't sue you for that. If you say just the lore,
okay.
Would try.
Jamie the lawyer over here.
I said all the words for Symphony of the Night, Castlevania. Now Celine Dion suing me.
I'm pretty sure Disney recently rejected like a father's plea to put Spider-Man on his dead infant child's tombstone. So don't give Disney too much credit.
Yeah, Jamie, I don't know why you're poking the Disney beast here. They have much more power than us. We could end up dead.
I went after Celine Dion. But...
That's true. Man, she's a Canadian icon.
Celine Dion yet?
Mexico changed
I don't know.
Anyway, this episode here is also public domain because what we're talking about is very old and nobody cares. It's Dark Souls 3.
Oh, cool.
Which is public domain, which is why we get a new Dark Souls every couple of years. It's just because it's cheap and easy.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea we were doing Dark Souls today. You mentioned Dark Souls, and I thought you were just replaying it.
Both, actually. So, friend of the show and a good friend of mine, Oren, got a PS4 finally, and I lent him on indefinite loan my copy of Bloodborne. And when I'd go over and hang out with him when I was on vacation, because he's just down the street, I was getting that Souls hunger, but I'm a frame rate Nazi, and I don't particularly like the 30 FPS on console, so I wanted my choice of action game, and my favorite in the Souls series thus far is Dark Souls 3. So I installed that and have been replaying it quite a lot recently. I have not played Sekiro, so don't come at me. I haven't played it yet. That might end up being my favorite one day in the future.
By all accounts, I haven't played it either. By all accounts, it doesn't look like my type of Souls game. Like, I generally don't like stealth mechanics in games, and it's like you took a really hard game and added like a frustrating stealth mechanic to me.
Yeah, don't know.
That's not my cup of tea, but I'm sure it's still a lot of fun to play. I'm with you. I'm with you though.
I'm just
Dark
not
Souls
willing
3
to spend 80 Canadian dollars on it.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Cool.
Yeah, I played Bloodborne all the way through twice. I played a little bit of Dark Souls 2 at Ethan's place, and I've played almost all the way through Dark Souls 3. And I played Dark Souls 1 for the first time in Mexico because it was on Ethan's Steam account that I stole the password for.
Oh,
It's
cool.
fucking excellent, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Ethan's password is excellent. Dark Souls 1 sucks. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Dark Souls 2, best Dark Souls.
So just like quickly with my replay here, I have 5 characters now, but I had 4 when I had restarted, some of which are deep into New Game Plus, some are into New Game Plus Plus, some are on the first game, and each time you beat it, it gets harder and harder. I was about 90% of the way through New Game Plus on my main character. I only had 3 bosses left, and I spent a lot of time. It is kind of like riding a bike, but I spent a lot of time having that bike shoved up my ass. Because I had rebound the controls, so I got killed by Yorm the Giant for the first time because I forgot how to use the sword you need to kill him because I kept hitting the wrong buttons and I just got
Stormbringer?
The Storm Ruler.
Storm Ruler, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So, since I've been replaying it, and kind of been quite preoccupied with a bunch of other stuff outside of the show, I decided to go back into Dark Souls and talk about some stuff that we haven't spoken about yet. We do have a Dark Souls Creation of the World episode from maybe about a year ago. It's one of the funniest ones. I remember just like laughing my ass off throughout the episode. Mm-hmm. Go back, check that out if you need context for a few of the characters that I'm going to cover today. Yes. Yeah.
So it was mostly focused on Lord Gwyn defeating the dragons using the power of lightning. I
yes.
think. Yeah.
The acquisition of the Lord Souls as well from the Fifth Flame, fucking idiot. First Flame, the First Flame, and then the characters that got the Lord Souls, the defeat of the dragons, and concepts like the Abyss and humanity and shit like that.
There's something about a gay sun in the moon too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was raised as a Gwendolyn, I think.
Dark Sun Gwendolyn, yeah.
Gwendolyn was raised as a girl by his father, by their father.
He's back in this.
I'm not sure his
preferred.
I'm not sure their preferred pronouns.
It was snake legs. That's what they call them.
Okay, yeah.
It was on his Twitter profile. It was snake/legs.
Because a snake is like a single leg, if you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and one quick note here, just because of the date we're recording, if you're going to listen to this on release day, The Surge, which is a similar action game, is free on Steam right now until, I believe, the 30th of August, 2019. So if you're hearing that here for the first time, check her out, because I played the demo and liked it.
You got 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, I think it's the 29th, but... It's coming up quick. It's coming up quick. So at the time of recording, go and get that download real quick.
Yeah. Go back in time before we told you and start downloading it.
Yeah.
So for Dark Souls, one thing that frustrated me for a long time when I was becoming a fan of the series is there's no dates or like solid order for things. Time even is said to be distorted in the universe, but there's not really there's like certain events that have occurred in a certain order, but like when that happened and how long it's been is kind of unknown.
Can I just say that saying time is kind of distorted in the world that I'm writing is such an out for like lazy writers to just be like, oh no, the reasons we fucked up the dates is because time is weird.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of this obviously came from watching the videos from a YouTuber called Vadi Vidya, who's basically like lore god when it comes to the Soul series, Bloodborne and Sekiro. And then I have some of my own ideas which I've thrown in here, but those are like firm and perky lore boys canon.
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet.
Today, what we're going to be focusing on are some very powerful individuals called the Lords of Cinder. It's 5 powerful entities who, in past ages, sacrificed their power to prolong the Age of Fire. This act is called Linking the Flame, and the intention is to maintain the status quo for the gods. We did talk about this in the last episode because Gwyn, did that. Well, several of them tried to link the fire in ages long past.
Yeah.
Now, despite the fact that the world around them has clearly decayed and like fallen into ruin and is just like populated almost exclusively by like husk zombies, the gods are just going to get that one last little taste of that sweet power. They will do anything to keep from dying.
Okay.
But fire always burns out, and that's kind of the inevitability, like even for the gods. The discovery of the Lord Souls, which we talked about in our last episode, is very much like getting your first hit free from a drug dealer, because you eventually have to burn yourself alive for an eternity, just for one more bump.
You got to go back to that Lord's hole, right?
You got to go to the
thing.
kiln of the first flame, just out back.
Yeah.
In that Lord's hole. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Lord's hole.
One of your buddies will get learn about Crystal and go crazy.
Yeah.
Go back if you want context for that. You got to listen to the last episode.
Yeah.
Now, in Dark Souls 3, the Lords of Cinder managed to link the fire and prolong the age, like back in the past. However, not everybody who tried to link the fire managed to do it. In Dark Souls 3, the player character is known as Unkindled Ash, or the Unkindled One, which is why today we are the Unkindled Lore Boys.
Ah, that makes sense.
And your
I remember that. Oh, sorry. That creepy girl would whisper to you all the time, "Hello there, Unkindled One."
The Firekeeper, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what an Unkindled One is a big heap of burned up failure. Anybody who tried to link the fire and failed was obviously just incinerated and turned to ash. And then someone or something just kind of shoveled it all up and dumped it in coffins in a graveyard called the Cemetery of Ash. It's just like that's where the landfill for idiots.
Okay, so if the main character is based on a monumental failure, I don't think we need to worry about public domain because this character is obviously based on me. So
yeah,
I think I have full rights to it, right? I have the rights to my own story.
It's multiple failures.
Although a couple shady businessmen in suits, they were Japanese. They came up to me with a contract in Japanese and said some stuff in Japanese, and I did sign it. So I wonder if I signed the rights to my life story away.
Yeah, shit. Dark Souls is just Japanese for Ethan Palmer.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. Foreign languages are so wacky.
Yeah.
So you're not the only Unkindled One. Failure can manifest in multiple ways. So there are multiple Unkindled Ones roaming around the world of Dark Souls 3. Because kind of, if there's people to burn, there's ashes to imbue with power.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The Unkindled One appears to be created, at least, when the Lords of Cinder are like late on their rent. Some force will collect this worthless pile of shredded newspaper and then send them out to break some thumbs, basically.
Okay, so the purpose of the Kindled One or the Unkindled One, excuse me, is to kindle? Is to did we cover that? What are they doing? What am I trying to do?
We didn't cover it in the last episode. The Unkindled One seems to be summoned by the first flame itself, because the first flame wants to keep burning.
Okay.
And Unkindled Ones appear when the Lords of Cinder, for whatever reason, have not or cannot rekindle or relink the fire.
Okay, that makes sense. I should clarify that I have beaten every boss, every non-DLC boss in this game. Like, I've played through it a couple times, and like I have no idea what I did. I punched fire at the end. I know that. At the end of the game, I punched fire. But I don't know good fire, bad fire? I don't know.
What is good is prolonging the age of the gods just so they can drink one more glass of wine out of the hands of a poor person that they use as a goblet. Or is it good to blot out the sun?
Now, I watch a lot of mainstream news, and I'm inclined to say that the gods drinking out of the corpses of poor people is good.
Me too.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I think the Unkindled one is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
By going out and busting all these knees from these lazy lords of Cinder who don't want to burn themselves alive a second time.
I mean, they're creating jobs for, poor people as, lifeless cups, basically. So
It's a matter of time before Joe Biden accidentally calls someone like a pile of failed ashes, and then and then the New York Times is just like, "Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it. He's still the best we got. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not
That's
a woman.
actually
That's
what-
good for us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's actually what Cuphead's about. Actually, it's the lower class kind of moving up against that.
Right. Yeah,
I thought
the,
it was,
the unofficial Souls game.
I thought it was a cartoon cup addicted to gambling, making a deal with the devil.
Yeah,
Well-
to regain his life because he's been made into a cup for the gods to drink out of, Peter. Are you not paying attention at all?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because Cuphead is the Dark Souls of gambling.
Yeah, something like that. Something.
It's not like words.
Yeah.
So after you're reassembled, after somebody stuffs all those ashes into the into the character you've chosen, they're just like, well, off you get. Generally speaking, the first Lord of Cinder players will encounter would be the Undead Legion of Farron or the Abyss Watchers.
Okay.
Oh,
they're Lords of Cinder.
Correct.
Okay.
They consume the blood of an ancient wolf and are sworn enemies of the Abyss. This being the place of pure darkness, it shares much with humanity itself, and humanity is like a physical thing in the Souls series that is represented by a jet black sprite.
And the pygmy retreated to the Abyss? Am I remembering that right?
The pygmy kind of created it, from what I understand.
Okay.
Like, the pygmy became, or at least one of the pygmies became Manus, father of the Abyss.
Yeah.
And, like, he created it, I guess, or at least is believed to have created it. Again, the history of Dark Souls is really up to interpretation. Like, I took things here that I've read myself or seen in-game and then pieced them together, again, with the help of VaatiVidya and wikis and shit, just to, like, okay, like, here's my understanding of all this vague nonsense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all very confusing. So the Abyss Watchers
Yes.
were a Lord of Cinder who went down to chill in the Abyss?
No, they stayed up in whatever their world was called at the time, because they're from an age-long past. They're
Okay.
from an area called Farron,
That makes
and
sense.
they stayed in Farron Keep. That's their base of operations.
Sense.
But they would roam around the land looking for signs of the Abyss and then just purging it outright without.
Oh, so they're
mercy.
watching for the Abyss. They're not watching for the Abyss, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're
They're watching
like
out for the...
they're commie hunters, basically.
Yeah, that's it. They're very McCarthyans.
Yeah, exactly. So like somebody calls the Undead Legion to tell them that their neighbor is like, I don't know, like weeping black goo, and they're like, oh shit, like we got to get in there and kill him.
Wait, I'm still confused. So they're serving the Abyss, or they're watching to see if the Abyss is coming?
The second one.
The second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're
got it.
watching out for the Abyss, which is manifesting as communism in their neighbors, turning
Yes.
into black goo. The beautiful nuclear family is ruined when the father turns into a black goo.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
When bugs rise out of the bathtub and peel away people's skin,
Yeah.
that's
Bad.
That's bad.
Typically bad for the American dream.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
The Abyss Watchers are the CIA going into people's homes and making them disappear because they suspect that they may be turning into bugs in the bathtub.
yeah. So you've got father,
Perfect.
son.
Yeah.
You got father, mother, son, daughter, cloud of flesh-eating insects, and they're like,
Wait a second. That's commie talk.
Yeah, so the Abyss Watchers are hunting down all traces of the Abyss because they seem to serve the gods. And as detailed in our last episode, the gods fear the dark because no fire, no light, no gods. So the Abyss has kind of a bad image, if you could even photograph pure darkness, because the gods are very much represented by sunlight and lightning and fire. So darkness, no bueno.
Yeah.
How are we gonna expose these photos? We need a darker room.
Yeah.
Dark room's just not enough.
Yeah.
So I had a theory here that I kind of wanted to bounce around here. Since the Abyss Watchers are multiple people. They're not really a lord of Cinder, but they follow the legend of the ancient knight Artorias and his wolf companion Sif, who also swore to defeat the Abyss. Artorias was wounded and consumed, so he went crazy. But Sif actually got away because he was protected by Artorias' shield, and then also had a ring called the Covenant of Artorias, which allowed Sif and also the player character to pass into the Abyss safely. Yeah, it's a key item in the first game.
It is. Yeah.
So sure, the Abyss Watchers are the Lord of Cinder, but they all share in the wolf's blood, so maybe the blood itself and the power of Sif is the Lord as well. Who knows? That's Lore Boy's canon. I'm just saying maybe Sif is the Lord of Cinder this whole time.
Okay.
And not like, the hundreds of people.
And they're drawing from Sif's power.
They drink the old wolf blood, so it could be a reincarnation of Sif, because Sif is canonically killed in the first game.
Yeah, and the games are chronological in order 1, 2, 3, right? Like, did you progress?
Yeah.
Yeah, except for like the weird time jump in 2 where you go back in time and fight giants or something? I don't know. Yeah,
well, you go back in time in the first one as well.
Okay.
That's when you kill Artorias in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. They are in that order. The time between is not known, but like in the second game you can get, like, for example, the old Pale Drake soul.
Yeah.
Is Seath's soul, which you get in the second game because he's already been dead for millennia, but you get it from somebody else because he's been reincarnated as a spider, whatever. That's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the item
this all makes sense.
Yeah, this all makes good sense.
This is all.
The item description on the Abyss Watcher helmet in part states, this pointed steel helm was a distinct symbol of the Legion, shirked as a sinister omen by the masses. So if you saw some Watchers show up with their pointy metal hats, you knew that one of your neighbors was a communist.
Okay, so guys in pointy, shining hats show up and get rid of some people of darkness, and the townspeople are happy because they were scared of the people of darkness?
No, it was shirked as a sinister omen. People were not in support of the...
I just feel like there's another parallel to American history besides McCarthyism that they're really leaning into here, is all, okay?
It's a Japanese game. Who knows?
Are you talking about the Boston Tea Party, right?
Yeah, exactly. The curly white robes are a metaphor for... Or the curly white wigs, sorry. Are a
dump
metaphor
everybody's tea into the ocean. They're just like, no more caffeine.
Not my Earl Grey. not my Manus Grey.
So anyway, if you saw the Legion show up in town, there was likely some abominations afoot. However, the Undead Legion of Farron would generally just slaughter everybody around to make sure there was no possible Abyss vessel left. So
they went full Arthas, Lich King.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Jamie's got World of Warcraft on the brain because for anybody listening in the future, WoW Classic launched yesterday, and Jamie is currently waiting in queue while we record. The episode basically ends when he gets into the server.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been getting up every once in a while. I'm just checking to make sure I'm still in queue because I'm nervous that I'll somehow got kicked out.
A watch pot never logs in, Jamie, or whatever people say.
Yeah, I guess so.
My roommate
can't stop.
It was like 11 o'clock. He works like during the day. And it was like 11 o'clock last night, and he was playing. He was in, and he got kicked out for some reason, and he had to like re-wait in queue. So he was like laying down in his bed, watching his computer while I was in queue, with like an alarm set to go off like every so often, just like wake him up so he could check on the queue again. Because he's just like going in and out with like work today. It was like, yeah.
Y'all are fiending for it.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation soon, and I've already planned that if this queue problem is still happening, I'm going to set an alarm at 3 a.m. and then like every hour since. So then I'll just start my day whenever I'm in.
Well, I mean, vacation's vacation. Like, if I've learned anything from my recent vacation is you got to spend that doing shit you like, or else it does you no good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what else does you no good? Seeing them pointed hats crest a hill because you know that there's abominations afoot.
That means you're probably going to die because you're probably going to be accused of being potentially an abomination. You know what? This does sound a lot like McCarthyism.
A lot of people are probably like susceptible to the Abyss. It does seep into things. Even Artorias, Knight of the Gods, was corrupted by the Abyss, so maybe the paranoia is a little bit more justified. What with the existence of magic and communism not being some sort of dark spell.
Yeah, well, there's no way to be sure about that.
Actually, that depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders could just be a sorcerer.
Yeah, I mean, Trotsky, he probably was.
He looked like it. Now, if you recall,
just so you guys know, I'm only 4,000 people behind now. And we started at 8,000, so this could end at any moment.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
if you just hear like a mic dropping and like scrambling sounds in the background, it means Jamie's gotten into the World of Warcraft.
Or a raccoon.
The whirring, the whirring of a microwave as the pizza pockets go. That's right next to my battle station.
Yeah. Let show up.
Yeah, of a fresh Mountain Dew.
So now, if you guys recall, when I introduced the Abyss Watchers, they were also known as the Undead Legion of Farron, and then Farron's a place. However, they all suffered from the Curse of the Undead, which we did talk about in the last episode. No one in the Legion could actually die permanently. However, repeated deaths can lead to hollowing and madness.
Yeah.
Now, the Abyss Watchers may have all gone mad before they, as like an entire unit, linked to the fire, or perhaps they went mad when they were most recently raised from the dead. It could have been like the undead straw that finally made the camel go crazy.
Was you resurrecting them when you fight them in Dark Souls 3?
You don't resurrect them in Dark Souls 3. They've already been resurrected.
Okay.
They've been recalled to link the fire, but they died the original time they had done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This does everybody. If you link the fire, you die.
Imagine the incredible pain of dying and then waking up and seeing you're still alive again, and then having to go through this over and over and over again to the point where your injuries are probably not lasting, but the memory of them is there. Like if your head is cut off, you're kind of just loosely on there or something.
You seem to come back fine. Like you always respawn with full health. So I think any injuries that happened prior to your dying does come back, and that is the canon mechanic. Every death is canon. So the undead thing and the health bar thing kind of are the same.
Except in Dark Souls 2, where you don't always come back with full health.
Your health is reduced.
Yeah.
The hollower you get, and then you also kind of rot away. But that's the only game where that was relevant. So maybe the curse,
Yeah.
But you just gotta blaze one. After 2.
Yeah, exactly.
You just gotta blaze one in 2, and then you go back to full, right?
Yeah.
You have to consume a human effigy, which is like a little wicker sculpture that looks like a humanity.
Yeah.
Now, Lore Boys canon, I'm saying the final resurrection, the most recent one, did it, because this would explain why they didn't head off to link the fire. They were committed to fighting the Abyss and staving off darkness. So this time, the fact that they didn't, they possibly just went crazy. And also, when you first fight the boss, the first stage of the boss fight, they are busy fighting each other, also while fighting you. In the intro cutscene, it shows just Watcher corpses everywhere, with 2 of them fighting, and then one guts the other one before attacking you. However, throughout that fight, every 20 seconds, another one resurrects, and they start fighting each other as well.
Yeah, you have an ally in this fight, kind of. Don't hit him, because then he'll start hitting you.
He prioritizes the other Watchers, but they are all hostile to you. Yeah.
Until you get to phase 2, and then you're just fighting the one guy, right?
Exactly. So after depleting the first health bar, the wolf's blood itself, this plays into my theory, and I came up with this earlier. The wolf blood itself will rise out of all of the Watcher corpses around the room and channel just into one body. And along with this comes the power of Cinder, which ignites the Watcher's sword.
Okay. So I kind of like how that ties to Sif being the
the blood is the Lord.
Yeah, Sif was the one to link them. So Sif linked them. Sif's blood lives on in his progeny, the wolves, the blood that they drink. And then it all manages to leave them and reunite into one single. So it's like you're fighting Sif again, really.
Yeah, because in the second stage of the fight, you only fight the one Abyss Watcher, who's now imbued with all of the blood in the room, as well as the power of fire.
And honestly, Sif has a giant sword in Dark Souls 1, and the Watcher that you fight has a giant sword that he swings in pretty. I mean, you could argue similar patterns. There's only so many ways to swing a sword, I guess.
Sif doesn't have hands.
Yeah. He swings it with his mouth. Is Sif a boy or girl?
Sif's a boy.
Boy? Okay. Good boy.
Yeah. what is it? The sword itself, the Abyss Watcher sword, is a replica of the exact same sword because it is a replica of Artorias' sword. So it's just a mass-produced Artorias sword. They also have an offhand dagger.
Gotta say, Pete, I'm liking your theories here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I thought of that yesterday. I was very proud of my fan fiction, my fan fiction paragraph.
Okay.
Upon defeat, you collect the shared souls of the shared soul and the ashes of a lord. The ashes of a lord are the rent payments, essentially, that you've been sent out to collect as unkindled ash, because the first flame is getting that fucking Cinder boy pussy. I don't care how he gets it. He's just like, I'm fucking getting it.
Yeah.
Now, following this fight, most people will come upon Aldrich, Saint of the Deep, as the next Lord of Cinder, though you can fight Yorm the Giant first if you want. However, we're going to talk about Aldrich first because there is another very relevant boss that we're going to cover. They both share a connection with the High Priest Pontiff Sullivan, so I'm going to move him in here as he becomes relevant.
Yeah.
I hated that guy so fucking much, dude. He has 2 different colored swords, and you're trying to fight him, and he just goes from not moving that fast to so fucking fast. He was my first huge roadblock in DS3.
Me too. He's like, I've finished the game now, including like my most recent like beatings this past week. I've finished the game probably 7 or 8 times, and I'm still not good at fighting Pontiff Sullivan. I still take a summon with me.
I really like Sullivan, and I find him to be one of the easier bosses, which I think says a lot about Dark Souls, that it's just like, depends on your playstyle, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like I main a sorcerer, so it's a little bit difficult to keep distance and or get in close with the little sword spell.
The Nameless King for me, if we're just throwing out hardest bosses, the Nameless King for me was by far the hardest boss for me.
See, I have no trouble with the Nameless King.
Took me weeks to beat this, like the last boss in the game.
Oh, it's the last boss. Okay, I'd never actually finished DS3. The 2 brothers near the end, I got stuck on those guys.
He's right
We'll
after
talk about
them.
Yeah, we'll talk about them. So we'll start with Aldrich. He was, quote, once a right and proper cleric. He was a man of the gods. However, he eventually developed a bad habit, which I'll let you guys guess if you don't know. What was Aldrich's bad habit there, boys? Jamie?
Chewing his toenails.
No?
Chewing the worlds.
Close. It was cannibalism.
Okay.
Oh, there was chewing.
Well, chewing toenails.
Yeah.
You probably chewed some toenails. I think you got to give that one to Jamie, honestly.
Do you not take, like, a chicken drumstick doesn't come with a foot attached?
Dude, you don't eat your chicken toenails?
Yeah, you don't eat your chicken
Best
feet?
part.
Come on.
I guess I'm the weird one here. You're right, guys. He began to consume human flesh. No one stopped him.
He's a well-respected cleric. There's well-respected clerics in real life that are monsters, and a lot of people do a lot to protect them. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of inclined to buy this one.
Yeah. Eventually, however, from consuming so many humans, he swelled up and then melted into a pile of black sludge.
His lower half is like a sludgy snake when you fight him in game.
Yes, I have a full description of him later because that's going to be important.
Okay.
You guys actually unknowingly planted some seeds for Aldrich earlier on.
Okay,
I
I'm very
love
good at
using
planting seeds.
sludgy snakes from the bottom down, planting seeds.
Oh yeah,
All good. Dude.
I like where this is going. You know what I mean?
his followers figured he'd still be able to lead. So they loaded him into like a mostly watertight coffin in a place called the Cathedral of the Deep, despite the fact he was just slime at this point. And then the high-ranking priests who followed him were called archdeacons, and in some cases were also quite obese because eating is like, I don't know, like part of the thing, you know.
I guess if you worship this cleric who's kind of, I guess you could say his thing was eating a specific thing, but eating, I guess you would eat a lot too.
Exactly.
So this presumably is the Deacons of the Deep boss.
The Deacons of the Deep are followers of Aldrich, and that's why there's that giant coffin in the room, because that's the tub that they kept him in, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Adele every time you say Deacons of the Deep. Deacons of the Deep.
Yeah, where Adele has consumed so many people that she's melted into sludge.
Yeah. I remember that tour. It was wild.
Yeah, exactly. You've just got like Taylor Swift hanging off the end of her.
Yeah. She only devours other pop singers.
Yeah, exactly. Where was it? Right. The main deacon, like the Pope that rises out of the ground in the Deacons of the Deep fight, I believe is Archdeacon Royce. However, you do also meet Archdeacon McDonnell, and he's hugely obese. He's below. He's where you can join one of the covenants. He also has vines growing out of his eye sockets, so do cardio.
I'm not sure I remember that covenant in that place. That might be something that I never found in Dark Souls when I beat it.
The Aldrich Faithful.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it's in a hidden area.
Okay.
Yeah. So, despite being what we can only politely call a pool, Aldrich still had visions and hunger. He had visions of a world completely submerged underwater, hence the Cathedral of the Deep and his title, the Saint of the Deep, because he had visions of a place he just called the Deep, because he's too busy eating to really come up with good names. Just like, what do you see right now? Oh, I'm underwater.
Yeah.
It's deep.
it's deep down here.
What are some foods? What are some foods that people are too busy eating quickly to name properly? Like maybe
people?
Cheese balls?
People? Yeah.
Well, you don't name people.
Well, what are you eating?
You're right. You're right, Jamie. We never name people.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think of a food that has not by the people who eat them don't name them. You don't say like your name is tartar and I'm gonna eat you. But
Oh, if you're eating glue, your mouth sticks shut, so you can't answer. Is that the answer you were looking for?
Yeah. Or just Aldrich is Aldrich the devourer of peanut butter, and he's just like.
oh God, the noises and smell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that whole boss room, despite the fact you're ankle deep in sludge, actually just smells like peanut butter.
Ew.
Ugh.
That's unsettling.
So he used to be the Saint of the Deep. His hunger, however, would come to define him, because when you fight him, he is called the Devourer of the Gods. After becoming tired of the taste of men, he figured gods had the right combination of secret herbs and spices that he'd been craving.
I mean, he can't be wrong. Like, eating a god has to taste better than eating a person.
Hundo P.
Like,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say, like, there's no universe where that's not true. You know what I mean?
No.
Was Kentucky Fried Chicken our Dark Souls? No, it wasn't our Dark Souls episode.
That was a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So now we come back to old Pontiff Sullivan. So Pontiff Sullivan figured he'd assist, since he's a huge bastard. I think his mom is like a frozen tree in a painting or something.
Okay.
Single parent household, man. It's just ruining America.
That's from the DLC, right?
Yes, Ashes of Arian Dell.
So I never played that DLC.
That's where Sullivan's
That's the most random insult I've ever heard. Your mom's a frozen tree in a painting.
How dare you?
I can't believe you would say that.
Yeah.
Though I'm pretty sure that's actually true. I think she is like a frozen tree in a painting.
That would make sense because there's a lot of frozen trees in that painting.
Who has turned into one or something? Whatever.
Okay.
How fucking lifeless? Yeah. How fucking lifeless and unmoving can you be that a frozen tree in a painting?
Yeah.
Well, the painting's like an alternate dimension. Like you go to it.
It's Mario 64 rules.
There's multiple paintings you can go into throughout the series.
And she still found time to read to Pontiff Sullivan every night.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And she raised herself a good boy who in no way got in with the royal family and managed to capture an old god so he could feed it to a new god.
Wait, is that what Sullivan did?
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
His mother was so nice.
The god that he
gotta eat.
I mean, it's very successful, really, honestly.
God
depending on who you ask. Yeah. The god that he managed to capture and imprison and feed to Aldrich, devourer of the gods, was the dark son Gwendolyn, who was, like we said, one of the children of Gwyn, the OG Lord of Cinder. And then, yes, as you guys had mentioned, he was moon aspected instead of sun aspected. Gwyn thought this was for pussies, so he raised him as a daughter.
Yeah. Okay. And he's the one who was devoured by Aldrich.
Yes, I have my own theories. Gwendolyn was the last god living in the city of Anor Londo back in Dark Souls 1, and canonically may not have been killed since he's an optional boss and a covenant leader. You can do quests for him, basically. Okay. When we finally encounter Aldrich in Anor Londo, he is, like we said, just a lumpy tentacle of meat and bone rising out of a lake of muck. However, on the end of this like meat snake is a partially digested Gwendolyn from the waist up. So you've got his face, arms, and his bow and arrow, like his moonlight great bow, but underneath the like white woman's dress he was forced to wear, it just kind of comes out and it's all like fur and skulls, and then the meat snake.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because you kept describing Aldrich as like a pile of goo, and I was like, well, he definitely has a body, but I guess it's not his body. It's the body of another god.
It's the Dark Sun Gwendolyn just kind of on the end there getting digested. It's fucked up, eh?
That is so
God
cool.
damn.
Yeah.
God soup.
Yeah.
Aldrich may have eaten other powerful beings and gods because he uses miracles from both Priscilla and Nito from Dark Souls 1, although that's unconfirmed. I 100% believe that he did eat them. Some people would say, oh, maybe he just dreamt about it and learned the miracles that way, because miracles in Dark Souls are stories that you remember, and then with enough faith, they manifest as a spell. But like one god, I don't think it's just like his first and only, and he's still chewing on him.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I don't think
I
so.
eat one god, one and done. One god, and you're done with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No way.
That is some remarkable will.
Self-control. Yeah. For a horrid cannibal who eats people and gods, that's a lot of self-control.
I think we lost Ethan.
I actually lost you guys for a second, but I vamped. Don't worry about it. The listeners will never know.
Oh, okay, good. Well, this is the last conference call we have to do for a little while, so deal with it. And then, anyway, good timing because we're moving on. Below Aldrich is the city of Irithyll, where Pontiff Sullivan actually is. That's where you fight him. And further below that is the dungeon, and then an old ruined city that is now known as the Profaned Capital.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention, the reason Aldrich has absconded his duty is unknown, but it's likely that he just either wanted to keep eating or await the end of the world for the deep to take him, and that's why he's not linking the fire.
Okay, yeah. He's like, I'm good. I'm
done.
Yeah. I'm eating gods down here. Like, whatever. End it.
Yeah, fuck it. Come for me, Apocalypse. I can probably breathe underwater because I'm goo. It just like washes him away. He's like, oh, I was wrong. No, don't be water. How could I have known?
Yeah, I was water soluble this whole time.
Right, so that was my mistake.
Might be a good thing. Then he could just become the sea. He would be so spread out across all the water, and he would devour so many things that way. But
it just eat all. Oh, that would be all. That would just be like instant apocalypse if he just digested the ocean.
Yeah.
So I got that out of order there. I got screwed up. But now we're moving on to the Profaned Capital. The Profaned Capital was ruled by a giant named Yorm. He was a descendant of an ancient conqueror, which is possibly the giant lord from Dark Souls 2, or even the last giant from the same game, because there was a war with the giants who invaded in Dark Souls 2 that happens between 1 and 2. And he's descended from an ancient giant conqueror.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to say, Yorm was one of those bosses that I saw from Dark Souls 3. This was before I had really dove headfirst into a lot of the Dark Souls games. Got me so excited, man. He's like just so huge, that flaming ass sword, dude. It looks so fucking cool.
Yeah.
He is. So he's absolutely fantastic. However, he's a gimmick boss, so you don't actually really fight him.
Right.
I mean,
I beat him with that thing.
But yeah, you have the Storm Ruler, like Peter mentioned earlier, which is like a special sword that you charge up, and you just have to like get one shot off, and then it like stuns him, and you can run up and do like a bunch of damage.
Yeah, you kill him in like 4 hits.
Yeah, his weapon was actually what I used to beat the end of the game.
Oh, his Yorm's
cleaver.
machete.
Yeah, his machete.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he ruled this realm. What it was known before the Profaned Capital is unknown. He ruled the realm and was loved by his people, who were humans. He protected them with his massive sword and shield. However, they ended up discovering something called the Profaned Flame, and then things began to change. This flame was thought to be inextinguishable, which obviously is not good, because like even the first flame is fading.
Yeah.
And it harbored some kind of darkness or cruelty. You can get the profaned coal and bring it to the blacksmith, and then he is very hesitant to take it, and he even states that he can see the abyss while looking into this profaned coal.
Dang.
And then it allows you to imbue your weapons with dark magic, blood, or hollowing effects, which are the spooky augments.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this thing's just like from whose perspective is it evil as fuck? Who knows? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we believe the gods, or is the age of man, the dark age, is that actually the bad thing? Ya boy Sullivan discovered Pontiff Sullivan at some point. He discovered this profaned flame, and then the description of his profaned greatsword is a burning ambition took root in him. Which likely led to his imprisonment and sacrifice of Gwendolyn to Aldrich, as well as the corruption of everything else around that he's done. Because Pontiff Sullivan is, like, despite the fact he's halfway through the game, easily one of the most important characters in the entirety of Dark Souls 3.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yorm knew there was evil in the profane flame, and then at some point he lost someone he cared about, and then he abandoned his shield and cut a second handhold into his machete so he could fight more recklessly. He became a Lord of Cinder to protect people from the flame, and entrusted his friend Sigurd with one of 2 Storm Ruler swords, which we talked about. The power of the storm can kill giants, and he asked Sigurd to kill him if he ever abandoned his post.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Which is why, if you follow Sigurd's questline, during the Yorm boss fight, Sigurd will show up with a second Storm Ruler, and he basically will just beat the fight for you, because it only takes 5 hits to kill. It only takes 5 hits to kill Yorm anyway.
Okay.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
fairly
pretty cool.
certain Sigurd has like 1.5 million health in that fight, because I don't think he's supposed to die.
Yeah.
When Yorm went to link the fire, however, profaned flame rained from the sky in his city. However, it only burned human flesh, and it incinerated every single one of his people and left everything else behind.
That's not good.
Yeah. Now that he's returned and has less than nothing left to fight for, he just simply sits in his big throne, which, if you notice, is completely encased in burnt corpses.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That
That's not
Aldrich
good.
guy, he could have quite the snack, though, with all those toasty boys.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's why they refuse to work together. That's why they won't go to their thrones.
They just,
Yeah.
hey, Yorm, buddy, you having a barbecue? You grilling something up over there, man? It smells
He's just, like,
delicious.
burning to death while linking the fire, just weeping.
It's like, I'll come back later, buddy.
He like opens his door, just like crying, burning to death in his bedroom. He's just like,
Maybe not.
pushes away back to his coffin.
Yorm's own tears, like, just, like, away on his sword, too. Like, holy fuck.
Aldrich, I asked you to clean out the drain if you shower. I just pulled out this mass of hair.
Yeah.
Undigested hair.
It's a whole human, though, just, like, attached to it.
Yeah. So, despite the fact that Yorm is too depressed to move, Sigurd remembers his promise to his old friend, and he has set off to kill Yorm for abandoning his duties as a Lord of Cinder.
Hell yeah, Sigurd.
Pretty metal. After the first 3 lords are killed and collected, we can finally set off to kill the final deadbeat Lord of Cinder, Prince Lothric. He was sickly and weak from birth. However, the royal family was determined to raise themselves a Lord of Cinder, even if it killed him and everyone around him.
Okay, and I'm guessing that it didn't kill him or anyone around him.
It had some other unfortunate effects. The queen is nowhere to be found and is just completely disappeared.
Presumed dead.
Yeah, presumed dead, or possibly ascended to heaven. She may have been an angel. We don't know.
She went to Aldrich's pool party and never came back. It was weird.
It's weird. Come in, I'm great. And she's like, okay. And it's just like,
All right, Aldrich.
Come in, I'm great.
Yeah.
he's the pool.
Yeah, Yorm showed up early and he's a hot tub now, so.
Yeah. That might be our art, is the Lord of Cinder pool party of people being digested in the pool. The father of Prince Lothric, Osiris, seemed pretty obsessed with experimenting on his children, because he's an optional boss. When you fight Osiris, he has turned into some sort of gooey, slimy dragon thing with no scales, and is holding an invisible baby named Ocelot, who he claims is the child of dragons.
Okay. So this guy's very hinged, right? Like this guy's stable. This guy's solid.
Just absolutely in no way is he an complete maniac.
Okay, yeah.
We mentioned studying crystal earlier. Can drive you crazy. There's some parallels here with the whole scaleless dragon thing, and also the mentally unhinged crystal addict.
Yeah.
The scaleless dragon is just like you can't put a banana next to him. Like, you know how big he is,
exactly,
or
Oh, he's a different shape. He's a different size. No matter what.
yeah.
That's a bit of a pun there, Jamie. The baby in this fight cannot be seen, but can be heard crying throughout the fight before being consumed and destroyed when Osiris goes berserk.
Okay, yeah. Osiris, Daddy needs you now, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, he screams like Ocelot and then slams his hand into the ground and then goes completely insane. So
Okay,
cool. Who knows if there was ever a baby there? Maybe we're just not crazy enough to see it. It's all very strange. Lothric was affected by some sort of curse, however, possibly brought on by Sullivan, who also, and this curse also ended up affecting his older brother Lorien. Lorien was once a great knight who even defeated a demon prince in the past, but now he's crippled.
Yeah.
He drags his leg behind him. He can't speak. However, both he and his brother know how pointless becoming a Lord of Cinder is, and they refuse to link the fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they've seen what it's done to their family and the other lords, and they're just like, dog, I'm not doing it. Are you fucking crazy? Look, my existence, look at what it did to my brother.
Yeah.
A once great knight. He's just dragging his legs behind him.
Miss, my dad just punched my baby brother out of existence. Can I be excused from linking the flames, please?
If I had a doctor's note to get out of work.
Somehow they learned how to teleport, though, and all this other crazy shit.
Well, they did study miracles, so... Yeah, or Lothric studied miracles. So yeah, of course he's got some magic powers.
Yeah, so
it
anyway,
turned a fish into wine. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He turned fish into wine for the fight.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know the fight, it's Lorien or Lothric riding on Lorien's shoulders. So Lothric is like all sickly, and he's like a little weak, gangly boy, and he's like piggybacking on his like big, strong knight brother. But his big, strong knight brother's legs don't work. So his brother's just like dragging himself around. They like drag themselves around with like the one on the back, and the one on the back casts spells, and the knight brother has a big spear that he swings at you.
He's a sword.
Yeah.
That
was a fun fight. I like that fight.
It's a great fight. That was the fight I was at when I started New Game Plus, and I was just like, I guess I'll just throw myself into the fucking deep end. I got rocked a few times there recently. So despite the fact he's crippled, he does still protect Lothric from anyone who would try and collect his hot and spicy cinders of a lord. And then, as you were saying, after defeating Lorien, Lothric will crawl onto his back, raise him from the dead, and then ride on him casting spells. Also, if you attack them from the front and are not doing damage to Lothric, Lothric will raise Lorien from the dead as many times as is necessary until you kill him.
Yeah, so you gotta target the weakly brother, the sickly brother on the back in order to win the fight.
That cripple's wearing another cripple as a backpack. Get him!
I mean,
got a backpack full of miracles.
Yeah. And that's what he said. There's a cool line in the mid cutscene when Lorien dies. Lothric teleports down, and he's just like, "Rise if you would, for that is our curse." Possibly stating that he's been afflicted by the undead curse or something to that effect. Who knows? Either way, they're not too keen on being burned alive, but that's never stopped Unkindled Ash, has it?
No, not this Unkindled Ash, let me tell you.
Dark Souls 3 is not a survey simulator. It's a very much a grab life by the horns simulator.
Right.
Where was I here? Right. So once all the ashes have been collected from the Abyss Watchers, from Yorm, and from Prince Lothric and Lorien, you return to the Firelink Shrine, which is your base of operations. Now, there is one more Lord of Cinder that's been sitting there the whole time. It's Ludlith of Corland. He is the small, weak man that's just sitting in a chair, and for some reason he's pretty gung-ho about being burned to death.
Yeah, he's the guy who sells you boss weapons when you collect their souls.
Correct. He is from Corland, so he can use something called a transposing kiln that can draw out the power of the boss souls to give you unique weapons. Also, which I found out, in New Game Plus, you only have to beat the game... Well, you only have to beat the Twin Princes twice. You can actually fuse their swords into one sword called the Twin Princes Greatsword, which has both a holy heavy attack and a fire heavy attack instead of one or the other. It's really fucking cool.
That's really cool.
It scales off of all the offensive stats as well. So if you have like a really like broad build on your character sheet, you can use that and get scaling on like all damage types. It's fucking wild.
Damn, that's wild.
Awesome.
I do not have a character built like that, but I would love one because that sword's fucking awesome.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, it's unclear as to why Ludlith is so like stoked on being burned alive to relink the fire. However, like this is a part of his quote is he claims that he may be small now, but will die a colossus. So it's possibly he's been promised something by someone who probably never linked the fire.
Yeah.
He's like, dog, when you burn alive, you come back and you're so tall.
Yeah, yeah. You're not short anymore.
You saw
Everybody else is
giant
short.
Motherfucker's huge.
Yeah.
You can find Ludlith sometimes asleep on the throne, and if you talk to him before he wakes up, before you can make boss weapons out of him, he's like kind of whimpering and having a nightmare about being burned and complaining about how much it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, complaining about how much. Yeah, complaining. Sorry, I guess that's
Yeah, that's it. Oh, what a complainer. Jeez, come on.
So yes, he does burn away when you put all of the ashes on their thrones. Jamie?
Okay. Sorry, is someone tapping their foot or something? I keep hearing like.
Oh, I might be, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Don't know.
It's just been coming in the last minute or so.
My bad.
Whoops.
No worries.
So once the ashes have been collected and put on their thrones, Ludlith burns away, and the Firekeeper, who's the girl you level up at, imbues you with a little bit of extra power so that you can teleport yourself to the kiln of the first flame. Cool. It still exists. Who knows where it is, but it's surrounded by like hills of buildings all collapsing in on themselves. So it's kind of like at the center of this universe and is pulling in all these kingdoms and realms.
Yeah.
And this is where you fight the final boss of the main game, known as the Soul of Cinder. The Soul of Cinder is the complete opposite of the player character. As we've discussed, the unkindled ash is a collection of failures. The Soul of Cinder is the collection of successes.
Oh, cool. So that's kind of why like it has like different phases where it's like it's a spellcaster now, it's like a stealthy or like a dexy boy, and then it's like a strength boy with big sword.
Exactly. It represents the fused power of everyone who has ever successfully linked the fire in ages past, and the builds that it cycles through in Dark Souls 3 represent some of the most popular builds from Dark Souls 1.
Oh yeah.
So like curved sword with pyromancy and doing backflips was like the meta dex build.
Yeah.
Then there's the sorcerer build. It does spin to win with a halberd.
Yeah.
And then it's got like the basic straight sword. So it technically the Soul of Cinder is us, but in 2011 when we first beat the game, sort of thing.
Oh, that's really
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And that's his first stage. The second stage, when the music changes, the music is the same track as the music when you fight Gwyn, the OG Lord of Cinder, in the first game, and then his sword transforms into Gwyn's sword, and he starts using sunlight and lightning magic. So he ends up going, 100% plus ultra, and finally challenges channels the power of the original Lord of Cinder, the first person to link the fire, and turns into Gwyn. And then you defeat it, and then you have a choice of 4 endings depending on how you've played through the game, and then and that's it. That's the Lords of Cinder, boys.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea that that bit about the original Dark Souls characters. That's really cool.
Yeah, the Soul of Cinder is representative of a lot of the builds from the first one, which is fucking neat. And it's the opposite to your character, which is something that really only struck me today as I was writing it. I was just like, wait a second. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, because like in the original you play like the Hollowed, and in this one you played the Unkindled.
Chosen Undead. Yeah, an Unkindled one is still technically undead, but you're a different beast because when you defeat a boss, you absorb part of their ember and actually get 30% extra health.
Yeah.
When you're embered. Yeah.
When you're embered. I gotta say though, Soul of Cinder for me was a relatively easy boss. So
yeah.
Those Dark Souls 1 players, and I do think that's kind of the consensus, was that it was an easy boss. So I gotta say, those Dark Souls 1 players, kind of scrubs. They kind of sucked. You know what I mean? I'm better than them.
Even on New Game
You're
Plus.
one of them.
Yeah. Even on New Game Plus recently, with my Sorcerer build, I still do so much fucking damage that I got killed a couple times because, again, I was fucking the buttons up.
Yeah.
But what is it? Yeah, I still managed to kill him in, like, his first stage I can take out in like 4 hits with the crystal soul spear, and then
Jesus.
the second stage has such a long combo at one point that if you don't get hit, you can just like fire away, and it took me about 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Without getting killed, finally.
Cool.
Guys, I got into the queue while I was sitting down, and then I got kicked for being AFK, and now I'm behind 10,000 people.
I was suspicious when I didn't hear the mic dropping the scrabbling in the pizza pockets, but hey.
You hear that, listener? You made Jamie lose his spot in line. You devil. I hope it's worth it.
I hope this episode was worth it for everybody.
I had a great time. Worth it for me. I'm not playing WoW.
Yeah, exactly. I've been Ethan Palmer. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Thanks so much for all the people who've been reaching out recently. Like, we've been getting a lot more engagement from you guys, and we really, really, really appreciate it. So, like, keep doing that. If you want to talk to us, just reach out, and we do our best to answer. We don't always do it because we're 3 people all logged into the same social media account. So sometimes we'll see it, and we'll be like, oh, they'll answer that, and then everybody ends up just passing the buck because we're all lazy fucks. But you can find me on Twitter at Ethan the Deadman. If you tweet at me, I will definitely respond because those guys don't have access to my Twitter. Jamie might, because he has my laptop right now, so he might be able to get into my Twitter, but I'm trusting him to not.
James, you can find me on Classic WoW for the next little while. So I'm on the server Incendious. That's a boss from Blackrock Depths. If you want to play with me, that's the best server to sign up for. It might be full now, but I hope you got in there. And that's basically where I'll be. And Peter?
You can find me at Pete O'Donohue on Twitter, at the Lore Boys on Twitter, and of course Lore Boys Podcast on Instagram, which I got very much back into during my vacation, which is very nice. There's been a week of nothing because I had to go to a funeral, and that'll fuck you up for a little while. But I'm going to get back into it shortly or as quickly as I can. So definitely give us a follow and some comments. And then, of course, you can email us at loreboyspodcast@gmail.com. We'll read it on air. If you want us to use your full name or a nickname, please specify. Otherwise, we'll dox you and sleep in your bed.
Yeah. And anybody who wants to support the show financially, the Patreon is up, and there will be multiple tiers set up by the time this episode comes out. So take a look, let us know, give us some feedback on the actual tiers, let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. And just because we have the Patreon doesn't mean that we don't have Lore Boys Prime, which is the old-fashioned way to support the show. So if you wanna send in 52 cents every day, you guys can get subscribed to Lore Boys Prime, and this month's Lore Boys Prime is very, very special because one of our Lore Boys, I don't know if you guys knew this, but he's very into World of Warcraft Classic right now, and World of Warcraft Classic is kind of plagued by this. I see you call it like a queue, like wait times to get in. So everybody who's subscribed to Lore Boys Premium will have a one-time use to just kick Jamie out of the World of Warcraft, so he has to wait in a queue all over again.
Oh my god.
So everybody who gives us 52 cents, if you because you can cancel it after a day, and it's 52 cents a day, so it's about $3.50 a week. It's not that much, but if you want it for just the day, give us 52 cents, and you can kick Jamie out, and then you can just cancel your subscription and go on with your life, knowing that you caused him probably like a 40-minute wait. So, yeah.
At least, dude. I'm sure I've been set back like 3 hours tonight. Oh my god.
How long is this episode up until now on the recording?
We're at 103.
103, yes. You've been waiting over an hour and 3 minutes, only to be kicked back 4,000 places.
Yeah. I was in 4,000th place the last time I checked, and now I'm at 9.3K, so...
I was hoping our Lore Boys Premium this week was going to be our meaty pool party, but I guess we're saving that for the end of summer.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had to push it till next summer because the pool kept eating, like the water in the pool kept eating the actual pool and then just seeping into the ground, deep into the ground, and leaving just like these black patches. So we need to get a pool that can hold this water. And then once we have that, we'll definitely set up the Lore Boys Prime so that everybody can get invited out. And
I'm gonna leave in a giant coffin. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I hope it's protected against curses. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Mostly waterproof. Put a tarp on the inside.
Yeah. And I guess that constitutes a Lore Boy.
Goodbye.
Out. It's out.
Oh, it's out.
little
Yeah,
tinny
I
there
don't-
for a second.
Let's all of us.
That's pretty good.
Cool. We're on. It's on. We're on. You're on. So whenever you want to take us away, Peter.
Okay.